All right, guys, it's great to see you here today. We have a very exciting video to put together. Here's one of those I've been wanting to do for a little while. It's on a topic that, if you're off-roading, especially camping, it's one of those absolutely must-have items. Matter of fact, last week I did a video on 8 essential items, which ended up being 10 essential interior items that you need for a overland rig. And one of the items that I spoke about is a good, reliable flashlight. And then I even doubled down and said, I even mentioned it can't hurt to have a spare as well because of how important it is. You know, when you're out and about and so forth, having a good, reliable light source is obviously very important. And one of the things that we've noticed that we get a lot of questions on is we get a lot of comparison questions from you guys on, hey, what do you think of this flashlight? Or I'm down to these 2 flashlights. Which one do we recommend? Or we just get a lot of, hey, what do we think of this? Now, the truth of the matter is, a lot of these I have no working knowledge of, but we're gonna fix that here. So one of the things I've been wanting to do here is we're going to start reviewing flashlights, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents of these. And this is kind of inspired off of, with my other company, we have what's called a canvas print shootout. My other company is a videography company, or community rather. And one of the videos that I do every single year is I compare canvas prints. Well, we're going to do the same thing with flashlights. And so, like the canvas shootouts, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to pick up very flashlights that you guys have asked about. And like this one, this is a Nemo. It's not a fish. It's a Nebo. Nebo 12K. I picked the sucker up of Amazon for, I think it was on sale for $100. But you guys keep asking this question. This flashlight comes across our radar scope quite often, and so I decided, hey, we'll start this whole thing off with this. But how this is going to work is, I'm going to crack this thing open in front of you here. I'm going to share with you some of the specs. I'm going to share with you things I like, dislike. The video will end temporarily for that. It will cut off, but you guys will never know the difference. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time with this. And I'll probably come back a week later with some footage from actually utilizing it. And then I'm going to share with you things, again, what I like and dislike with it. We'll have a scorecard letting you know, based upon certain factors, how this particular flashlight would score. And again, so the importance of with this is, if you decide to go out there and buy that particular flashlight, whatever video that you're watching that we're reviewing at the time, you know ahead of time what to expect. Again, I'm going to share with you my feedback. You may agree, you may not, but at the end of the day, it's going to help you make a more educated decision. Now, of course, guys, we put these videos together to help you, in this case, make educated decisions on what gear to buy and possibly not buy. If this video is helpful and others like it, do me a favor, hit that like button down below. It's a great reward to us, and it certainly does help with the whole YouTube algorithm. That said, my friends, pull up seat in. Let's go. First, let's crack this sucker open. I'm going to give these guys credit, though. The packaging on this for a flashlight, it looks pretty... Oh, look at that. They have a little, like a gum wrapper. I'll give this company credit. Not Nemo the fish, but Nebo. Their packaging so far looks really... Jesus, this thing's really packaged well. So this thing is a 12K Lumen, 12,000 Lumen flashlight. This thing has got to be a freaking beast. Not sure how the hell you open. Oh, look at that. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm gonna give this company a big fat A+ for presentation. I mean, this looks really... I like that. It's a heavy-duty box. The outside looks fantastic. The color matching, the contrast between the orange and the rest of it, which looks like a midnight blue, looks fantastic. I know the box has nothing to do with what's inside, but that is pretty slick. Holy shit, this thing is a stinking... You know, if you don't need to use this as a flashlight, you can beat the hell out of somebody. No, you don't want... Now, I'm not encouraging violence, but if somebody were to attack you, yogi out in the middle of the woods or something like that. This thing has some weight to it. This could be used as a weapon. That is... okay. We'll get to that thing in a minute. Let's finish taking things out of here. You have a USB to USB-C cable. You have a lanyard. And, okay, I'm not sure what that is. Let's see what the hell is this. Okay, directions for the flashlight. Okay. Love the packaging. Okay, so let's take a look. So the dimensions of this thing is 11 inches or 11.08 inches. The head diameter of this is 2.51 inches, and the barrel diameter is 1.75 inches. Now, one of the first things I'm noticing about this thing is the grip on it. I mean, this is... let's see if I can get that in there. Not my head, but the grip on this is really fantastic. And one thing that I can tell you right now I like is some flashlights, they have a relatively smooth platform, and from a not only from a traction standpoint, or from a grip standpoint rather, but this right here, my hands, you know, if your hands are sweaty or anything like that, this is a little bit easier on the hands to be able to grip this thing. It feels really good. It's really well balanced. And one of the things I'm noticing right here off the get-go, okay, so here is your USB and USB-C ports right there, and you have this little rubber grommet that goes over it, which keeps it safe from any moisture or any rain that you may get caught up in. Man, that is a beast. Look at the bulb. I don't know if you can tell that. That is one heck of a... I come from the photography space, and prior to... I'm a Canon shooter right now, with the exception of the small Sony that I use, or I've been testing lately. But when I was with Nikon, there was a particular lens that was ultimately one of my favorite lenses. It was a 14 to 24 millimeter. It had this big bulb on the front of that thing. And it's funny because as I'm looking at this, you have this gigantic kind of glass spear right in there. Now, of course, it's protected by the front of this here, but it's reminding me a lot about that. So, share with you some of the specs about this thing here. So, not only do you have a 10,000 milliamp battery, or I'm sorry, you have a total of 10,000 milliamp batteries in here. I think there's a few batteries inside this thing here because you actually have a... yeah, because right up here, this actually serves as a power bank as well. You have a 2x adjustable zoom on the front of this thing here. Now, the outside of this is anodized aircraft aluminum. And the fun part with this is there are 5 actual light modes inside of this thing. And I'm going to refer to my notes here because I just remember... I remember the big one, which is the 12K. They call it Turbo. And that is good for 30 seconds. Then you have a high category, which is 7K, 7,000 lumen, and that's good for 2 hours running time. Then you have a medium setting, that's 3,000 lumens, and that is good for 3 hours. In low, which is 300 lumens, and that is good for 12 hours. That's just thinking long time. I'm still kind of curious on the 12,000 lumen. It's good for 30 seconds. Now, I'm sure that's got to put out a ton of heat. I'm not sure what sort of situations I would need a... But then again, if you're just spot checking something out in the woods, or, you know, you don't need it on that long. But, and anyways, the last light setting is strobe, and that's 12,000 lumens, and that's obviously flashing on and off, and that's good for 2 hours. Now, this is waterproof. It's IP67. If you aren't familiar with IP67 or what those numbers mean, the 6 on that means it's complete protection against dust. The 7 is what's talking about the water side of it. So that's actually good for a if you were to drop this temporarily in 1 meter of water for 30 minutes, it's going to be okay. And as we've noticed here, I've noticed the switch has a little rubberness inside of it. And of course, as I pointed out a moment ago, that rubber grommet that goes over the USB and the USB-C port there. And I'm guessing... Damn, that's a big-ass battery. Jesus. Okay, so... And actually, if you look close here... So the seal, we're talking about the weather or the water sealing right now. There's actually 2 rubber seals, which most only have one, which is actually pretty slick to see. So they actually have two rubber seals right at the base. Oh, a little thing that says remove me. Okay. I'm curious if this thing has a charge to it. It'd be pretty cool if we get to turn this thing on right off the get-go. Bam. Ooh. That wasn't good for the old camera. That thing is pretty darn... Okay, so I think it turned on at the... Okay. I didn't read the instructions on this, so I'm kind of winging it. That thing is stinking bright. Again, I'm sure you guys really love that in your faces right now. This is impact resistant as well, and they talk about this being pretty much indestructible in the sense of dropping and so forth. So you have the ability to put this lanyard down on the bottom, which is nice for a little added ability or a grip position on this thing. So overall, first opinion of this thing, I have to say this is pretty darn slick. Now, most of the flashlights, so this is going to be interesting for me because most of the flashlights that I have are much smaller. I did a review on the Surefire, or did I do the review on that yet? You guys haven't seen the review on the Surefire flashlight yet, but that's going to be coming. I have the IntelliBeam, and that is a much smaller flashlight, about this big or so, and that's a 1500 Lumen. So 12,000, I mean, Jesus, I mean, give myself a suntan with that thing. All right, guys, well, that's first impression of this thing, cracking out of the box. So now you know what comes in the box, kind of a few of the specs with it. So now I'm going to get out and play around with this thing. Okay, guys, now that I've had a chance to unbox this flashlight and play around with it, let's get into my list of pros and cons. First and foremost, guys, this flashlight is very, very bright. Now, obviously, 12,000 lumens is going to get the job when you need a ton of light, though it only lasts for about 30 seconds, so just keep that part in mind. Now, even still, after the 30-second burst of 12,000 lumens, the flashlight still puts out 7,000 lumens on high mode, which is, let's be real here, is nothing to cry about. Now, you also have the option of low mode of 300 lumens, or which is 300 lumens rather. Medium mode is 3,000 lumens, or strobe mode, which offers 12,000 lumens, just like in turbo mode. Now, a second feature that I really like is that this thing, guys, this thing is really well made. Now, this flashlight, as I mentioned earlier, is IP67 waterproof. The body is This is made of aluminum and is impact resistant. And here's something I'd like to point out here. Speaking of the build quality of this thing here, something I noticed on this flashlight when I was kind of inspecting the battery. Right here, most flashlights, or a lot of flashlights out there, are just going to have one single washer to keep moisture and dust and all that other rubbish out. They've actually incorporated two of them here. Here's the Mongo battery that's inside this thing here. But again, the construction of this flashlight just really feels nice. And sometimes when you pick up an item, you can tell just by holding it whether it's really well made or a piece of junk. This flashlight definitely feels really well made. In my testing so far, it's proven that it's up to the task of working in quite adverse conditions. Now, the third pro of this flashlight is it's rechargeable. Now that is, here we go right here. Simply plug in your cable and you're off to the races. So it's nice to be able to plug into a USB-C cable and get it juiced up before the next use. It's also nice to not have to carry a ton of different batteries with me, and you'd need a lot of them to power this thing with all the lumens that is coming out of this thing. Now, another pro is if you're after a floodlight, this thing absolutely rocks. This thing has a very wide view on, or very wide beam to it here. And if you're ever in a jam and you need a quick charge on your phone, let me shut this thing off here. Flip it over right here, right next to your charging port, you have a USB port here that you can plug in your phone and charge up your phone in emergency situations. That is a nice, I'm going to call it in case of emergency, break glass. All right, let's dive into the cons. So the first con really relates to the last pro. Now, while I like that it's a rechargeable flashlight, guys, this thing takes 7 hours or more to charge this flashlight up. That is a long time. Now, the charging really depends on the type of charger that you use. So if you use a charger that isn't very powerful, the charge time could be as much as, okay, you sitting down, 28 hours. Yeah, no. Now, I suppose the moral of the story is that you need to have a high output charger, and you need to get in the habit of charging it up after every time that you take this thing out. That way, it's ready to roll when you leave for your next adventure. Now, the second con is that while this flashlight is extremely well built, man, it's a pig. It's a little bit on the big and bulky side. Now, at over 11 inches long and weighing about 2 pounds, this is not something that you want to carry around at night or on a night hike. That's for sure. It's just simply too big. Likewise, if it's something that you're going to keep in your overlanding and off-road vehicle, be sure that it's contained somewhere, as, I mean, this could be a significant projectile if you roll your vehicle or get into another kind of accident. And even something, I'll take this one step further. In my vehicle, right between my passenger and my driver's seat, up on the ceiling where I have my GMRS radio, it's mounted to a MOLLE panel up there. Now, above that MOLLE panel, and I know others do the same thing as well, I store a few things up there. I have my Tops Silent Hero knife up there. Now it's in a sheath. I have a bear spray up there. I have, what else do I have up there? I have a spare handheld GMRS radio up there. Now there's a little lip that goes up around the top of the MOLLE, so that keeps everything contained in there. But if you hit, for example, the handheld mic to my GMRS radio, if I'm on a really bumpy road, that has popped out of there a few times and come down and hit my right shoulder. Now, this right here, you definitely don't want to have something like this sitting up there. You hit a bump, this thing comes out, this thing is going to knock you out cold on the trail there. So anyways, just be cautious about how or where you mount this thing in your vehicle, or have it mounted securely. Now, a third con is that the super bright modes just really don't last long. And I'm not talking about the 12,000 lumen at the 30 seconds. I'm talking about thereafter, the 7,000. If I'm out and about and so forth, I'm only able to get about 7 minutes out of this thing before the light really starts to fade off. So it's something to keep in mind. And actually, one other thing, if you're after a spotlight, this light doesn't do a good job in that category. And you have a little bit, this part right here, you can twist about, and that will bring it in a little bit, but this is a very wide beam, so don't expect to get very precise with that beam that's coming out of here. It's a very, very wide beam. Now, something also I find strange and teeter-tottering on the annoying side with this light here, you can only charge this flashlight with the provided USB to USB-C cable that they give. I've tried 7 or 8 different cables that I have, and they don't work. So if you lose the cable that they give you, brother, friend, you are SOL on charging this thing up. So that's something that just make sure, attach it with it. And what's funny is the first trip that I took this out on, I didn't bring the charger with me. In my expedition trailer, I have all sorts of USB-C cables in there, and so it's never an issue. If I need to charge something, you just plug it in. You grab one of the cables and go with it. I didn't bring that cable. I had no idea that you can't do that until I was out and about and I tried to charge it. No bueno, didn't work. So anyway, something to keep in mind. All right, shifting gears, it offers great functionality, lots of versatility, and the ease of USB-C charging. Now, I really do like the ergonomics of it, and the build quality of this light, it's really, really nice. The brightness, of course, is certainly a big bonus. All in all, I get why so many people really give this flashlight high praise. I think it offers excellent value for the money, really good value for the money, and it would make a great addition to your overlanding or off-road rig. But how did it do on the scorecard? Let's take a look. Normally at this part of the video is where I would discuss our current giveaway, but guys, that recently ended. So stay tuned later this week for our next four-wheel drive talk episode where we're going to reveal, actually it'll be next week, where we're going to reveal the winners of our last giveaway and preview the items that we have on the grabs for the next giveaway that we have coming around the corner. That said, guys, this is, these little reviews here, these flashlight reviews are a lot of fun to get together, especially lights like this that, I see a lot of the attraction online. We see a lot of questions, and I can really appreciate why so many people are interested in picking something like this up. It's a great flashlight. All right, friend, that is it. This was a fun video to put together. Now, before we close off the video with all that YouTube stuff that I'm going to ask you about here in a moment, if there is a flashlight that you would like for us to test, be sure to leave it down in the comments below and we'll add it to the queue. We have quite the growing list of flashlights and different gear that we've been asked to test. And so by all means, if you want to see something tested, put it down in the comments below. And speaking of the comments, it's that time of the video where I'm going to ask you to do all that YouTube stuff that is oh so valuable to the channel. So if you found some value with this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button down there, smash it, kick it, do whatever you need to. And if you're currently not subscribed to the channel, friend, what are you waiting for? You see, we have a lot of fun on this channel if you haven't noticed, and we would love to have you part of that fun. And last but not least, smash, kick that bell so therefore you don't miss a single video that we come out. Now, I'm officially done. I can take a breather here. So anyways, guys, you get out there, stay healthy, and find your adventure.